Good morning, all you heathens. It's first sit, 11 a.m. Sunday morning. Quite a week, man. I just saw Mark Andrews is out now with COVID. So I'm just gonna keep drinking my coffee and barricading myself in this basement, and maybe I won't ever come out. I think that's probably the best bet. The world doesn't need more Johnny Danger, anyways.
Yeah, it's ravaging the NFL. I mean, we got a practice squad wide receiver is going to be the quarterback in Denver. So
I see. I don't know if you saw, but did you see that they petitioned to the league to let their like quarterbacks coach or offensive coordinator assistant be the quarterback this week?
no, I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
They basically were like, this is screwed up. Like, you're letting these other teams move back. You need to let us move back to Tuesday so we can get a quarterback in here and get them practiced up, whether it be Royce or whether it be Hinton or, whoever. And the league's like, nope, deal with it. You guys are idiots. So sounds like they're going to get some fines. I saw that New Orleans is losing a draft pick. I wouldn't shock me to see a few more of those dropped here.
Yeah, I mean, they're different situations. Everybody thinks that it's because it was Lamar Jackson. It has nothing to do with that. He's not going to play anyway. It was just the sheer amount of the breakout and what they had to do to stop that there versus a small amount of these Broncos who just happen to be all the same positional group. But
right.
There was a memo that was sent out at the beginning of the year that Ab Schefter posted that showed that, we're not going to stop it because of these type of things. So,
yeah. I think it'd been funny to let that assistant coach be the QB.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than what they're doing, essentially. So
right. Apparently, the league just argued that that was just a way that you could stash a player on a roster by making them a assistant coach. But,
fair enough.
But I thought it was funny. I thought it was quite funny. So what's up with you guys, man? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was quiet. I like quiet.
Yeah, it was good. Good.
Yeah, my parents came over. They quarantined along with us for over a week heading into it, so we could get together. They don't really see anybody. I forced them to move, 3 hours downstate to hang out with us, and so they have no social life anyways. So it's fine. It was all good. We made entirely too much food, which we're now trying to get creative with. Katie's making chicken tortilla soup out of the leftover chicken. And then I got this like whole thing of scalloped potatoes with cheese and bacon. I'm going to start turning into like breakfast burritos and maybe pot pie filling. I don't know. Got to get creative around here.
Yeah. I like it.
Dig it. I dig it. So, Mark, we usually start off with how your lineups are kind of falling together. Obviously, if you read the articles, you see the guys that we kind of like. Anyone we haven't really discussed between Chris and Reginald's articles, and of course the tipsy picks that you keep finding yourself falling on this week.
Yeah, I mean the big thing for me was, a lot of Nicole Hines since Jonathan Taylor's out. I found myself going to him, especially at his price point, and really. That was the big one for me. I really love the Buffalo Chargers game, so I have a lot of players there. It looks like Arizona is coming in a little under-owned. So this morning I created some Kyler Murray lineups to try and take advantage of that and the leverage. And I got a couple of Patrick Mahomes lineups that came out pretty nice. Otherwise, no huge surprises, especially with the way the COVID's ravaging everything. I know a lot of people were talking about Gabe Davis over in Buffalo, playing him in third string. I ended up, he didn't really fit a lot of my lineups. The way I was building, I have a couple of them, but I'm not heavy on them like the rest of the field. And then my defense of the week is the Saints against that practice squad wide receiver. And so,
yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of questions over on Facebook and other places, friends asking, is this guy worth starting Hinton? I do have a league. I'm starting him at wide receiver just because of so many people with COVID out and the possibility of that Pittsburgh game not even playing. So I've got him in there. It looks like they're going to play that Pittsburgh game, but you just, um, anyways, but for the most part, like, no. I mean, like, look at your league settings and see that you get -2 for fumbles, -2 for interceptions. Figure that Royce Freeman's going to get some snaps out of a Wildcat. Figure that Hinton's not going to be a full-time quarterback in that offense, and I have no interest in it. Just total pass for me. This isn't a Taysom Hill situation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. In seasonal, it was a different thing. I mean, in seasonal, we're talking about a guy that was tight end eligible, and if he's tight end eligible, he made all the sense in the world. That was the same thing on FanDuel last week. FanDuel tight end eligible, made all the sense in the world. And on DraftKings, he was just super cheap. They've got, I don't even know if he was added to the DraftKings pool, but I know on FanDuel he was,
He's not.
I believe, in the QB position and not, priced down at like 4,500 like Taysom Hill was. So a lot less attractive in a lot of these different places.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest in him. Like I said, I have a deep bench dynasty league where literally everybody is taken that I threw him in a spot, but I'm also 0-11 in that league playing for the first draft pick next year. So why not throw him in there?
Yeah. Sure.
Absolutely. So more important to me is seeing some of the changes around. We've got Mitch Trubisky back in Chicago. I think that bodes well for Monty. Monty has played better with Mitch's style of offense. Also, Green Bay's run defense is terrible. So I find myself in seasonal, of course, he's not on the DK main slate, but I find myself in seasonal having Monty in there, and then kind of an upgrade for the Jets receivers, don't you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that seems to be getting the most buzz is going to be Denzel Mims, and that's certainly a spot that you can go to. I think that I've got very little exposure to that, but I'm looking more at Jamison Crowder, who tends to get a lot of targets from Sam Darnold. There's not actually a tremendously large sample size this year. They do correlate well with each other. The concern that I would have versus a guy like Mims versus a guy like Rashard Perriman, who I looked into, is just that this Miami pass defense has been good at limiting the points to wide receivers. Jamison Crowder is kind of in a slot position where it's a little bit different. We're not looking at necessarily big chunk plays. We're not looking for touchdowns. We're just really looking for sheer volume to get us there. We are going to need some of those other things to accumulate as well to see a ceiling that we're looking for. But I've got him. They're all projected pretty well. I don't have a problem with Mims. As I comb through my lineups, I'll probably add him in a couple other spots. But I just like, when we're talking about a $3,500 wide receiver, the guy that I like a lot more for $100 more is going to be Keenan Cole, or Laviska Shenault is getting a ton of buzz as well. He's not in my player pool. I like Keenan Cole. I mean, one of the things that was coming out with, talking about a quarterback that's switching or a quarterback switch is they're going to be starting Mike Glennon. I think that the Browns defense is a fine play. I think James Robinson's a great play, but Mike Glennon was quoted as saying he understands this is pretty much probably his last shot. This could be the last game that he ever starts. So he's just going to go out there and he's going to sling it. He's just going to be firing.
I wish Chark was playing, man, because I think this would be a smash spot for Chark, but he's not, so there's no point talking about it. I'm with you, though, Cole, man. I think Shenault is more of a gadget player. He's more he's better, but he's like a Patterson-type guy. He plays a lot of hybrid snaps, and I think Cole's the play, man. Great last name and great opportunity.
Yeah, so that's where I ended up going as opposed to Mims. And if you just look at the ownership between these two guys, so with Mims, he's right up there. Mims is looking like he's going to be actually 8% owned, so that's way down. And Cole is 7.3. So both of these guys are much lower owned than they stood to be the other day. So that's kind of the way that I'm approaching that. I do like Fitzpatrick, love Devontae Parker with Fitzpatrick, and especially just completely devoid of all of their skill guys there in Miami. So I think Jakeem Grant is going to play, but outside of that, they're running out wide receivers like Antonio Callaway, Mac Hollins. The running back situation is going to be a combination of Breida, who has been completely ineffective, Perry, DeAndre Washington, Patrick Laird.
Yeah. Let's talk about Perry, man. That's my deep cut tipsy pick, Malcolm Perry, baby. I don't know why you'd play him, but there he is.
Yeah, no, that doesn't even make sense as a tipsy pick. That's
no, that is what tipsy picks are there for, my friend. The problem with my article is I've been making sense lately. That's going against the true nature of the tipsy picks. It's because I quit getting drunk Friday nights.
Well, tipsy picks are revolve around guys that are super low priced, and then you just don't have to go to a Malcolm Perry today. Like you shouldn't. Matt Breida is not a great play to me, but he's a much better play than Malcolm Perry as he stands to be in the front of that depth chart. But then you also have Jordan Wilkins, Nyheim Hines, Brian Hill, all of these guys so inexpensive in terms of picks that you can plug in at the running back position.
That's true. Yeah, I definitely threw in some Fitzmagic and Parker lineup real quick as soon as they made that switch. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Those two guys with a little Gesicki, I mean, those are the three guys that are going to put up the points.
Yeah, so Chris, you brought up a name who I've been hearing a lot of buzz the last couple of days, and that's Brian Hill. He hasn't found his way into any of my lineups currently. I still got a few to build, but what's your feeling about him today?
He's not crazy. I'm not prioritizing it. You're just looking at a high total game. He's going to be the primary running back. It hasn't seen that role before, so it's difficult. I mean, I have him a little bit, but I think I like Jordan Wilkins a little bit more if we're looking at the exact same price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Hines is going to see most of the looks there, but I like Wilkins. He's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cheap running backs that you can go to.
Yeah, I found myself playing more high-end wide receivers and going down discount running backs this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think my most owned player is going to be Dalvin Cook.
How can he not be?
Yeah.
How could he not be? He's been my most owned player for like 6 out of the 11 weeks this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's really expensive. And as a matter of fact, he's not my highest owned player. Appears actually Mr. Wayne Gallman is just slightly a little more owned than he is.
I have a ton of Gallman too.
Yeah, I mean, Gallman makes a lot of sense. And he's not going to be highly owned. I mean, around 10%. But we look at this Cincinnati defense that is missing several pieces, whether they're traded away or hurt. They've popped off or allowed pop-off games to running backs. Last week against Washington, they gave up 30 points to running backs, 50 points to Cleveland's running backs back in week 2. Week 1 was 22. And then if you look at these other games, 16, 14, 16, 23, 19, 28. I mean, these are games that are presenting you a nice floor for Gallman with the potential of really, really blowing up. Yeah, I mean, against the Steelers, it was a weird game. They were able to limit running back production, Cincinnati was, but they gave up 80 points to wide receivers in those games. So I guess the way that I look at this is it's just a lot like AJ Green was last week in terms of this guy has a real floor, but the floor should be something that gets you close to 3x. And, 4, 5, 6x is certainly possible.
Dig it. Hey, let's go through and look at a few of these best bets. I know I haven't put mine in. It's fine. But, where are we looking at in the betting standpoint? What has stood out this morning? I know, Chris, you sometimes pay attention to line movement a little bit more than I do. Is there any weird line movement that's happened over the last couple of days besides the ever-changing Denver situation?
No, I mean, I went back into my best bets, and I was actually able to get because I had posted them earlier in the week, but I was able to get a couple better lines than I was earlier. So the one I'm looking at is I like Las Vegas -2.5, the Giants -4.5. Like the Chargers, they really stay in games pretty close. I got them at 5. They're down to 4.5 right now, so that's plus. I think most of their games are one-score games in terms of like 5, 6, 7 points. So I feel like we can kind of keep this close and hopefully do something there. And then Seattle -5. A couple of those are the same ones that Lou has. So he was just able to get the Saints -7 earlier in the week on his best bets. Unfortunately, that's not available anymore.
No, I do believe it's like 15 now.
Yeah. 16. the implied total for Denver is like 10 points, 10.25.
Wow.
Let's see. We got a question here from Facebook. Mark Andrada wants to know what we think of Brian Hill today. I mean, in seasonal, I've got a spot for him. I mean, the price wise, he makes more sense in DFS than throwing up and getting rid of a guy in seasonal. My answer to most people in seasonal start sits that asked me throughout the week was like, were you excited about Gurley in this spot? I mean, if you weren't excited about Gurley in this spot, why are you excited about Brian Hill in this spot? DFS, it makes more sense because the price is way better. So I guess that's the question there. DFS wise, are you interested in Brian Hill today?
Yeah, from a DFS standpoint, like we talked about, I think he is cheap enough and he has a role, and you can be excited about Brian Hill because over Gurley, because Gurley has been bad. The only value that he's brought is a tremendous amount of red zone usage and touchdowns, and that's good for fantasy. But it's not to say that Brian Hill won't have that same type of similar role, but be able to run a little bit more efficiently, possibly, and maybe even catch some passes. I guess the thing that I worry about most is that maybe Ito Smith comes in and finishes off a couple drives for him. But yeah, at 4,000, he's worthwhile on FanDuel. He's pretty cheap as well. So in both of those situations, I think he's an all right play. Grades out in my model pretty highly, but a lot of these extreme value running backs and wide receivers are always going to just kind of find their way up to the top, and you have to kind of weed through them a little bit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let me see, going back through here. Is it weird that I kind of like the Patriots at home? I don't believe that Kyler's shoulder is 100%. I think that hurts him. I think I just like the Panthers, the Patriots. It's weird. It's just my gut play, man. I like the Patriots at home versus the Cardinals. Am I crazy, Chris? Am I crazy?
I don't. I mean, but whatever. Go for it.
I don't think you're totally crazy, but I actually like Arizona in this situation, and Kyler's probably going to come in a little lower ownership than he would normally, so I think it's a decent leverage play.
He is the most expensive QB on the slate, isn't he?
I think Josh Allen, isn't he?
No, Kyler.
Kyler is okay.
Yeah. All right, looks like Mark wants a wacky call of the day, judging by his person. Mark says his call of the day is Olabisi Johnson, 6 for 65 and a touchdown.
Sure. It could happen. I mean, and if it does, you're in a tremendously huge leverage spot if you can get some major production out of him. I mean, so I guess that's the thought that you could look at. You're going to have this huge ownership that's going to Justin Jefferson, because by all accounts, Justin Jefferson should have a smash spot here. Any of the games where he's been the prioritized wide receiver, we're talking 10, 11 targets, just absolutely destroys his target, that what you're looking for. With Adam Thielen out, you just have to assume he's going to get 10 plus targets. That I mean, I think he is. Like, I don't know, like, do you want to play a 3,000 BC Johnson? I mean, I think it goes back to you play good players, and you play good players in good situations. And he's not a good player. He's a cheap player. But I think we can find value other places where people have more of a cemented role, like we talked about, Keelan Cole, maybe even a Denzel Mims, guys that are a little bit better, have a little bit better track record, and still can present similar leverage spots for you.
In that situation, my guy is probably, I'm more on Russell Gage than I am on BC.
Sure. I mean, you can even go to a guy like Andy Isabella, who
had one huge game last time Julio was out.
Well, yeah. Well, so for me, going to Isabella, though, the difference is that you're looking at a guy that's going to fill in and get the 6 or 7 targets that Fitzgerald had been getting, and you're getting him at a minimum salary. So what is, are they going to go run heavy? I mean, look like the Vikings could go run heavy, and BC could get no work. It could be all Jefferson, spread it out, a little bit of Rudolph, because why not? He's super cheap. And then Dalvin Cook does the rest. I mean, that is a very real possibility. That's a very real way that game can turn out. But I don't see how the Cardinals funnel all of those passes that have been going to Fitzgerald elsewhere. They're going to still go to the slot. I mean, that's just the way that the offense works. So Isabella and I'm not high on him, but I think he's a guy that you can put into a couple lineups. But
yeah, I like Isabella. I like Gage, as I said. I also like Russell Higgins a lot. Or Rashad Higgins, or Russell.
If we're going to a cheap wide receiver in that game, I think I'm a little more interested in Cardell Hodge. Guy's been getting the vast majority of the air yards between all of those guys. And again, I'm not huge on this passing offense. Just they don't have a lot of weapons. Not playing Baker. Love Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt at this price is just absolutely in a great spot. But I think Austin Hooper is the guy in the passing game that I'm most interested from Cleveland. And by most, I mean like not very.
So I woke up last night at about 11:30. Couldn't fall back asleep. So I turned on the old fight last night and watched that. It was hilarious. The Nate Robinson knockout, if you haven't seen it, you need to go onto YouTube and search the Nate Robinson knockout last night by what was it, Jake Paul or whatever the guy's name was.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy, man. That guy was on cold. That was awesome. And then, of course, the geriatric match of the century was as boring as you thought two mid-50s boxers would be. If you didn't watch any of it, it was quite funny because there was no crowd noise, right? So you could hear the corner guys talking to the fighters, and they just kept zooming in on Roy Jones, and he just was just sitting in that corner going, it's the fourth round, right? It's the fifth round, right? Like between every round, he's like, only two more rounds, right? Only one more round, right? Like he was just absolutely terrified to take a punch from Tyson. And you could tell he just wrapped him up. Like every time they got anywhere close, he just wrapped him up. 100% wrapped him up. It was quite funny. I know it was supposed to be an exhibition and it was going to be a tie unless somebody got knocked out. I get it, but Tyson couldn't move at all. But man, he was throwing some punches. It was mildly entertaining. But just listening to Tyson talk is more fun than anything. So there was that. But I don't have a whole lot on today, man. I mean, this stuff really hasn't moved the needle for me. All the stuff that's going on the guys that I was on this week. So I don't know where else you want to go. Mark, anything else that you've surprised that you're on this morning?
No, it seems like a very straightforward week. So it's really about trying to find ways to be a little contrarian in a couple of lineups. But I really haven't found much outside what we've already talked about.
Chris, any parting thoughts on this slate before we move on to another topic?
I mean, I think there's a lot of different plays. I wouldn't by any means consider this, straightforward. I think most of this slate feels disgusting, just because of all this value that's out there. Nelson Aguilar is a guy that we talked about a lot on Wednesday that I'm pretty high on, and I'm going to have a fair amount. As I do have a lot of Derek Carr exposure. I think the toughest position is really tight end. I found myself, outside of Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, the two top guys, either playing like Rudolph, Hunter Henry, and then a ton of Evan Ingram, unfortunately, as bad as that feels. The other guys that I don't know if we really talked about, I like Sterling Shepard a fair amount. Let's see who else. Cole Beasley was a guy that we talked about and definitely like in that situation. Stephon Diggs, despite what some people are saying, I think is a fine play despite his ownership. Not really on Keenan Allen, but do like Calvin Ridley. And then the one guy that just is getting this is bonkers to me. Like, we know Minnesota is bad at defending the pass, right? Well, why is ownership leaning towards Robbie Anderson over DJ Moore? That boggles me. Look, on FanDuel, it makes sense. Robbie is about $1,000 cheaper, but on DraftKings, I was plugging in Robbie, then I went and checked, and I was like, they're like $100 off. Give me DJ Moore at half the ownership for $100 more.
Yep. That's where I ended up too, with a lot more.
I think people are just hanging on to Robbie's early season success with Teddy.
Yeah.
But Moore's the more talented receiver and gets in more beneficial positions. He's the red zone guy. He's the deep threat. I mean, yeah, Moore's the better play. When they're equally priced, Moore's the better play. I am with you on that. All right. Well, if you want to get into something a little bit different, we have another game that at least I like to play. I don't know about these goons, but it's a little game called Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com, use promo code Blueprint, and you will get 100% bonus on your initial deposit with new accounts up to $100. It's a real bonus, my friends, real bonus. You can use it all on one play if you want. And it doesn't trickle in like some of the other bonuses. So the deal here is you parlay players 2, 3, 4, and I think they even have a new 5-player parlay. And you get them all right, you exponentially win your buy-in. So all you have to do is pick the over/under on their projections. They stay pretty close to DraftKings pricing. So let's take a couple of looks at those. You just got to get them right over/under. How about Calvin Ridley with no Julio, 18.5 PPR setting, 18.5.
Going over.
Over.
I could see the over there. Keenan Allen, we just talked about him. You're not too high on him, probably more for pricing than talent, but 20.5. I feel like this is one of those Mike Williams games, so I'm going to go under.
Yeah, it's just slightly under. I mean, when we're talking about why I don't like him for DraftKings, is that 20.5 is just not going to get you there at 8,200 in the ownership. But
yep,
I'm going to take the over.
How about our boy Darren Waller, 15.5? I feel over on that.
Over.
How much was it?
15.5.
Yeah, we'll take the over.
When he gets a touchdown, that's done. How about the ever popular decision between Chubb and Hunt? Chubb's on here for 17.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an over.
Yeah, I like Chubb a lot. I mean, you recommend Hunt because of the price difference, and he can still, produce good numbers with Chubb in there, obviously. But I think Chubb's the man today. I think they could get up and just pound Jacksonville. So I like the over on 17.5.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. The most positively correlated player for Kareem Hunt is Nick Chubb.
Fact.
Kareem Hunt is the second most correlated player for Nick Chubb. So these guys can go off together. So
Oh, yeah. And famously, we have won some money on showdowns playing them both together. I like it. How about Mike Davis at 15? 15 is a pretty appropriate number.
Yeah.
Might just stay away from that one.
We'll go over.
Let's talk about your boy Tyler Boyd at 12.
Yeah, so Tyler Boyd's kind of one of those guys that pops in the model initially with just baseline projections based off what he should do in this offense. But man, this situation is just, it's concerning because you don't know what you're going to get from the pass catcher. This is one of those situations that really came out really well in my model. Like Tyler Boyd's the top guy in my model, but it's hard to believe that that's the case. Like it just, but 12 points, I like the over.
Yeah, over.
Let's see. Yeah. How about Naheem Hines, 14?
I'll take the over. I think he's going to have a great day.
I'm going to go under.
Boo. Boo to you, sir. Boo. How about Kenyon Drake at 12?
Under.
Yeah, under.
I'll take the over. Just because. How about, let's talk about this. This has been a hot topic on the Facebook boards and topic discussions, but and I've gotten into a few arguments with people, as you know I like to do. Alvin Kamara at 17. I feel like Alvin Kamara takes a massive hit because of the way Taysom Hill is used, especially in the red zone. I think he's a complete disappointment on the week against Denver. I don't even like it at 17. I think under.
Yeah, I mean, I take the under. Some of the last 4 or 5 unders that I've taken or stronger. This one's like 17's right around the median projection, but I have them slightly under that. So,
yeah, take the under.
All right, let's do just one more. How about Ronald Jones at 12? Is this going to be kind of one of those Ronald Jones games, or are we going to see a little bit more Fournette? Kansas City can give it up to the running backs. I don't know. I thought Ronald Jones would have a better week last week. Massively disappointed me. So 12 points for Ronald Jones against Kansas City.
I mean, I'll take the over. My projection's right there. It's like 12.5.
I'm gonna go under.
All right, fair enough. Well, I appreciate it. It's easy as that, guys. You just look at the projections, you pick a few players, you make a stand on over or under on their projections, you click enter, and you win. It's a lot of fun. So go to prizepicks.com, use promo code Blueprint for 100% up to your first $100 of new account first deposits. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Poo-poo. All right, fair enough. Got that out of the way. Also, of course, you can check out all of our content at fantasyfootballblueprint.com. Look for end of the season specials, including the draft kit for 2021 will be out shortly. So keep an eye at fantasyfootballblueprint.com for all of our information. And of course, catch us on Draft Rep side at Facebook. Anything else, guys?
I don't think so.
All right.
No.
Over under on a 1/2 gallon of eggnog will you consume between now and New Year's Day, Chris?
Under.
Oh,
I will
eggnog
consume
fans.
0.
No eggnog fans. Lame.
I don't need 1.5 gallons of it. Like I can get like a little carton and be good.
Right? I like it. All right. I'll drink my 1/2 gallon. I'm sure. I'll drink my 1/2 gallon. I enjoy it. All right, guys. Well, good luck today. Good luck setting your lineups. I will try to get my best 5 picks in here, and we will catch you all Wednesday night, sometime between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock p.m. on Draft Rep side, on YouTube, on Fantasy Football Blueprints Facebook page. You'll catch us all those spots. I'm Johnny Danger for Brewery Mark and Chris Emmerich. We'll catch you Wednesday night.
See ya.